Hi guys, welcome back to my channel once again. In this video I'm going to be teaching how to cut and sew this shirt. It has a collar and then a puff sleeve. It can be made into a shirt dress or just a top depending on how you want it to be. So let's get started. These are the items I'll be using to cut out. They're going to help me cut the the shirt out. So I'll be using this measurement for the shirt. My bust divided by 4, waist by 4, hip by 4. I need my shoulder to bust measurement, shoulder to waist measurements, the top length, and then the shoulder measurements. So these are the measurements I'm going to be using. So the first thing I'll be doing is to mark the length of my shirt. So from the lower part, I'm going to be marking the length of my shirt, which is 30 inches plus folding. I've added a folding allowance to it and it's 30 inches. After marking the 30 inches, I'm going to connect the points together to get a straight line. Next thing I'll be doing is to indicate the shoulder line, and then from the shoulder, I'm going to be marking my shoulder to bust and my shoulder to waist measurements. So my shoulder to bust is 10 inches and then shoulder to waist is 16 inches. So I'm marking them down, and then after that I'll be connecting the points together with my ruler. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to mark my waist to hip measurement, which is 9 inches. So from the waistline, I'm going to be marking 9 inches down. And then I'll be connecting the points together with my ruler as well. So at this point, I was just indicating the lines, that is the bust, waist, hip, and the shoulder line, so that you don't get confused on what I'm doing. Next thing I'll be doing is to put in my bust measurements on the bust line and then the waist measurements on the waistline. But then with this shirt, I'll be maintaining the bust measurements on the waistline. So if I mark 9 inches on the bust, I'll be marking that same 9 inches on the waist since the shirt is loose. And then I'll be adding 2 inches to the measurements. So on the bust and then waistline, I used the bust measurements and then added extra 2 inches to it since the shirt is loose. Now on the hip line, I'm going to be putting in my hip measurement, that is 10.5 inches, and then I'll be adding 2 inches to the 10.5 like I did for the bust and then waist. So I'll be marking 12.5 on the hip line. After that, I'll be connecting the points together, but then before I connect together, I'm going to be reducing the waist by 1 inch. I'm going to be reducing the waist by 1 inch. I want that part to be a bit curvier, so I reduced it by 1 inch. So I'll connect from the bust to the new waistline, the new point on the waistline, and then to the hip. Now my shoulder measurement is 14. 14 divided by 2 is 7. Because the shirt is loose, I added extra half inch to it so that it will look uniform. So I added extra half inch to the 7 inches I was supposed to mark on the shoulder line. I'll be repeating that same 7 inches on the bust line, 7.5 inches on the bust line, and then I'll be connecting the 2 points together. Next thing I'll be doing is to come down by 1 inch from the shoulder line. Then after that, I'll be marking my neck width, which is 3 inches, and then I'll be using 1 inch for the neck depth of the back. So 1 inch for the depth and then 3 inches for the width. So after that, just draw the shape of the neckline, and then I'll be connecting from that point to the dropped shoulder line. Next thing I'll be doing is to divide that line into 2 and then come in by 1/2 inch. This is actually needed for the front, but then I marked it down so that I don't get confused when I'm working on the front, or it will be a reminder that I have to go in by 1/2 inch for the front. After that, just connect them together like I have done. On the hip line, I'll be coming up by 2 inches. So you can actually come up by 2 or 3 inches depending on how high you want the shape to be for the top. So after that, I'll be connecting from that point to the center back. So just draw the shape like I am doing. I don't know how to explain this part, but then it should be something curvy like this. So just like this, or you can make it round if you want to. So however you want to shape the down parts of the top, you go ahead and then shape it. So I'm adding extra 1 inch seam allowance to the side for sewing. So 1 inch seam allowance, and then after that I'll be connecting the points together with my ruler. At this point, I am done with the front, and then I'll go ahead and then cut out. So I'll be cutting out with 1/2 inch seam allowance on the shoulder, and then the armhole. Since I've already added allowance to the side and then the lower part, I just added 1/2 inch to the armhole and then the shoulder. Next thing I'll be doing is to place it on another fabric and then cut out the front. So this fabric is folded into 2, and then I'm marking 2.5 inches in for the bottom extension, 2.5 inches in. After that, I'll be connecting the points together to get a straight line before laying the back on top of it. So the back should come after the 2.5 inches line I marked. From the neckline of the back, I'll be marking 1.5 inches down for the neckline of the front. 1.5 inches down for the neckline of the front, and then I'll extend it like this. After that, I'm going to be marking that part of the back and then connect it to the front. So you can use your French curve if you have one to draw the curve, and then after that I'll go ahead and then cut out. So this is all you need for the front as well. After that, I'm going to be cutting out the neckline, and then I'll divide the center front into 2. But before that, remember I went in by 1/2 inch on the back so that I don't forget to do that on the front. So I just marked the 1/2 inch in, and then I'll go ahead and then cut out the excess fabric on the front. This is because the front part of the armhole is curvier than the back. Like I said, I'll divide this into two, and that's what I'm doing at the moment. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to put the back aside and then work on the front. So the first thing I'm going to be doing for the front is to fold it into two like this. I mean the zip extension. I'm going to be fusing the parts I'll be fixing the buttons. So I'm going to be fusing that part. So I just placed it on top of it, and then I'll go ahead and then press it down. After pressing, I'm going to fold it on top of it so that it falls on the 2.5 inches line I marked for the extension. So I did the same thing for the other side, and then this is what I have. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to stitch it down like this. I hope you can see the stitches. So I just stitched it down, and then I'll be joining the front to the back on the shoulders. So I'll be stitching the shoulders together. After stitching, this is what I have. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to work on the neckline. So I'll go ahead and then measure the neckline to see what I have. You can measure about 2 or 3 times and then choose what you think is right before you cut out the collar. So I'll be using 19 inches, and I'll be using this interfacing to cut out the collar. So just fold it into two like I have done, and then measure either 1.25 or 1.5 inches, depending on how thick you want it to be, and then connect it together. So after connecting, I'm going to be dividing the 19 inches into two, and then I'll be marking half of it down. After marking, I'll connect it to get something like this, and then I'll be going down by 1/2 inch, and then I'll go in by 1/2 inch as well, and then connect the points together. Next thing I'll be doing is to mark 2 or 2.25 inches for the collar itself. So just mark 2 or 2.25 inches for the collar itself, and then connect the points together like I have done. Next, I'll be connecting it to the collar stand. Make sure the line is straight, and then after that I'll be going out by 1/2 inch. This is to give it a bit of a curve at the side of the collar. So after the 1/2 inch, I'll just connect it together this way, and the collar is done. So after cutting out, I'm going to be laying it on my fabric, press it down, and then cut out. So make sure the fabric is folded into two, because you need 2 of each. So this fabric is actually folded into 2, so I'll be cutting 2 of each. So before you cut, make sure you pin it down so that it doesn't move when you are cutting out, and make sure you are cutting out with 1/2 inch seam allowance all round. So after cutting out, this is what I have. The first thing I'm going to be doing is to work on the collar itself. So I'll stitch from that part to that part, and then after that I'm trimming off the excess from the collar, the excess fabric from the collar. So after that, open it up and then press it or iron it. You can top stitch at this point if you want to. So next thing I'll be doing is to fold it into two like this and then make a notch at the center. I'm going to be joining it to the collar stand, so I'll be folding it into two as well and then make a notch at the center, both the upper and then the lower part, because I'll be needing the notches to work. So after that, just open it up like this and then place it at the center, making sure the notches are meeting, and then make sure the fused one is meeting the fused one before you stitch. So after that, I'm just pinning it down at this point before I stitch from that point to the other point. Before you stitch, make sure you fold this part up like this before you stitch. Make sure you fold it the 1/2 inch up, and then when you finish, this is what you are going to get. One part is going to be longer than the other. That is why you fold one part in. So after that, I went ahead to press it, and then I'll be fixing it to the collar. So remember, I made a notch at the lower part of the collar. I'll be making a notch at the center of the shirt as well. Make a notch at the center of the shirt as well, and then make sure the notches are meeting each other. And then with right side facing each other, I'm going to place the collar on top of it, pin it down, and then stitch. So you begin pinning from the center, and then you pin at the opening of the shirt, just like I am doing before you stitch. Make sure you pin every part down so that everything becomes smooth after stitching. So after stitching that part, this is what I have. All you have to do is now put this on top of it this way and then stitch. So make sure you've pushed all the seam or the excess fabric from stitching the first part in before you stitch this on top of it. And then make sure when you're pinning, the collar is slightly above the seam line. The seam line is not supposed to be seen. After that, take it to your machine and then stitch. After stitching, this is what I have, and then we are done with the collar. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to work on the sleeve. So I'm going to measure the armhole, and then whatever I have, I'll be using that to cut out the sleeve. So I have 25 and then quarter, so that is what I'll be using for the sleeve. So I folded this fabric into two. I'm cutting all the two at once, so the length is about 22.5 inches, I think 23. It depends on the length you want the sleeve to be. So, and then I'm marking my 19.5, my 19 inches, and then I added extra 5 inches to it. So if you have excess fabric, you can make it more. So I came down by 5 inches from the upper part for the cap line, and then I'm connecting the points together. After that, I'm going to draw in the shape of my sleeve. So this is what I have at the moment. I'll go ahead and then work on the lower part of the sleeve. So I'm going to be using 10 inches for the around arm measurement. So my around arm is 10 inches, and then I'm adding extra 8 inches to it. So you can add about 8, 7 or 5 inches to it, depending on how tight you want it to be around the arm. So after that, I went ahead to connect it like this, and then I'll go ahead and then cut out. Since the sleeve is loose, there's no need for me to add sewing allowance to it, so that is why I didn't add any sewing allowance to it. After cutting out, this is what I have. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to make gathering stitches at the upper part of the sleeve since it is puff. So after that, I folded 1 inch in to finish the edge of the sleeve, and then I'll be going up by 8 inches. If you think 8 inches is too high, you can make it about 5 or 7 inches, because after working I realized that 8 inches is a bit high. After that, connect the points together, and then I'll take it to the machine and then work on it. I'm going to be using this elastic thread. Then you are going to wind it to the bobbin by using your hands. Don't use the machine to wind it, otherwise the thread will lose its elasticity. So just wind it. So I wind about 3 wasn't enough, so be prepared to wind more. And then after that, I'm going to fix it into the bobbin case before putting it into my machine. So after that, I'm going to put it inside my machine and then pull it out, as you can see. After that, I'm going to be working on the sleeve. So just put the sleeve under it and begin to stitch like you stitch anything. The normal stitching we do, and make sure you loosen the tension before you stitch so that you get the effect you are supposed to get. So this is me stitching at this point. When you stitch and you get to the other side, just turn it and then stitch again. This is what you are going to be doing so you get to your desired length. So after some time, this is what I have. You can see I have the effect. So you're going to be doing this, like I said, till you get to your desired length before you stop. So I am done stitching at this point, and then this is what I have. So next thing I'm going to be doing is now join the sleeve to the shirt before I stitch the sleeve itself. So I'll go ahead and then pull out the gathers at this point. I didn't pull it out earlier because I didn't want it to interfere with the stitching of the lower part. So pull it to the size of the armhole and then measure and make sure it is actually the size you are working with before you secure the ends. Make sure you tie it down before you fix to avoid problems. So this is what I have now, and then make sure you distribute the gathers so that it becomes even before you fix it. This is to prevent one side to have more gathers than the other. Now I folded it into 2, and then I'm going to be making a notch at the center. I'll be joining the notches together. So with right side facing each other, make sure the notches are meeting at the shoulder before you stitch. After stitching, this is what I have, and then at this point I'm going to join the side of the shirt together with the sleeve. So I added 1 inch to the side of the shirt. That means I'll be stitching 1 inch for the sleeve as well. After stitching the sleeves, I'll go ahead and then fold the lower part of the shirt this way. So this is the end of the tutorials. The next thing for me to do is to fix my bottom, and that will be all for the shirt. Thanks for watching. See you another time. And then don't forget to like, comment, and share my videos. Bye.